Hi ladies and gentlemen, and I'm back with another video. I said that I'll be gone for like 3 weeks, and I will be, so this time it's for sure the very last video before I go away for 3 weeks. But don't worry, as I promised, I'll get back to making videos after 3 weeks. But yes, this for certain now is the very last video before I go away for 3 weeks. And because I managed to see Borderlands movie, and I have to say, as the title of my video implies, yeah, the movie is absolute trash and it's so terrible. Like, I've already been hearing terrible things about it, but I probably wouldn't go see it if it wasn't for you guys. But yeah, I went to see this movie and I already was ready that it's going to be bad after everything I was hearing about it, although I felt like maybe not that bad, but somehow it still managed to impress me how terrible it was. But before we get to it, I'll first say that I'm not particularly familiar with the video games. I remember back at my boarding school in Rhode Island, I did play Borderlands games with my friend in his room, although we just like roamed around this wasteland world and shoot at stuff. I didn't really much play the story, so yes, my knowledge of the Borderlands video games is very limited, although I do consider giving them a play at some point, but my knowledge about the video games is very limited. And I've heard one of the first complaints about this movie, actually, that a friend of mine who loves this franchise told me that it apparently doesn't follow the game's story, although I'll be honest, I don't really care about that in particular. Because video game adaptations are not like the book adaptations. I don't think that when you're adapting a video game, you really should be retelling the story of the video games. In fact, I think this is possibly the very reason why so many video games adaptations throughout decades sucked, because they either were too faithful to the game or they barely resembled the game. Looking at you, Super Mario Bros. 93, but yep, I think that you should really follow the Castlevania example for the most time. Just use the basic premise and the spirit, but nothing wrong with telling your own story, because again, video games are a very different medium than the books. When you do a video game adaptation, I don't think you really need to follow a story of the games. Like in Castlevania's case, that very much did a show a favor, in my opinion at least. So, how exactly faithful it is the story of the games? Well, as I said, not only I haven't played the games, but I don't really think that video game adaptations really need to retell the story of the video games, so that's a non-issue for me. But again, doesn't change the fact that the movie is terrible. And first and foremost, it's so boring. Like, the characters are unlikable and they were all so annoying, and because of that, the action scenes weren't even interesting, because action scenes are not interesting when you are not connected emotionally with the characters, and because every single character was just so annoying that the action scenes because of that weren't even good. And as I said, every single character was just so annoying, and Cate Blanchett cast in the main role of bounty hunter Lilith. I mean, I don't blame her, because it's not like much she could do with the role she was given. And also, from what I read, apparently Lilith is like apparently only in her 20s in the games, and she clearly is very much supposed to be in her 20s like here in this movie. So why pick like a 60-year-old Cate Blanchett? Like, again, Cate Blanchett is a pretty good actress, but she shouldn't be playing a role of a 20-year-old. Also, the movie introduces some things I assume are lore from the video game, but doesn't really explain it to those who aren't familiar with the video games. As a result, it's like we want the answers but won't get any, because clearly they assume you like already played the games, despite supposedly being made for both game fans and those who aren't familiar with the games. And also the characters, including Cate Blanchett's Lilith, all get some backstories, and we are clearly supposed to feel sorry for them, but then it basically does nothing with them. It's basically just like throwing them out into our faces and telling them, oh, this character suffered this, but then basically those sad backstories like Lilith's mother dying, basically having absolutely no impact on the actual story and basically making it basically completely hard to care about those characters, because I already said before, none of the characters really are likable. It's just like they're all so annoying, and especially with Cate Blanchett, although it's pretty obvious that, as I said, she doesn't make sense to play in the role, and it's also pretty obvious to me that she herself doesn't even feel comfortable in the role that she's given. And in addition to being so boring and the characters being so annoying, the movie is also very silly and strange, and like, it's obvious that it's very much, there are plenty of jokes and the movie very much tries its best to be funny, but it fails so miserably because not a single joke in this movie is funny. Like, they're all stupid, like they're cliche at best, but completely stupid at worst, and I don't even think little kids would laugh at those dumb jokes. Like, yeah, those are some of the worst jokes I've ever seen. People say now how the video game adaptations curse have been lifted after admittedly a pretty good Sonic movies and amazing shows like the first Castlevania and Twisted Metal, but has it been truly lifted? Borderlands certainly doesn't indicate that, because this is literally one of the worst video game movies I've ever seen, and I say it as someone who isn't really familiar with the video games, because whether you include the games here or not, it's just a terrible movie. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but yes, this is worse than Madame Web. Congratulations, Borderlands, you just dethroned Madame Web as the worst movie of 2024, like if that even was possible in the first place. But yep, Borderlands is just trash, like terrible performances, and not just terrible performances, but even actors being miscast in the first place, just plus unfunny jokes and just plain boring story with unlikable characters. Like, yep, this is terrible movie, and honestly, I was this close of actually leaving the theater halfway through. Yep, I was this close as I was watching this movie. But ladies and gentlemen, here you have my opinion on Borderlands. And as I said, this is the last video because I'm going away for 3 weeks, but I'll be back in 3 weeks and then I'll go back to making videos for you all. So yes, I will actually go tomorrow in Paris. I'll go and see Alien Romulus, but the review of Alien Romulus will actually not be up until like in around 3 weeks when I get back. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching the video. Press the like button, please subscribe to this channel, and I'll talk to you in like 3 weeks when I get back, likely in the review of Alien Romulus. Talk to you then. Bye.